When we think about farming, we usually think about the food it grows, right? Well, what if farms could produce something else? Something invisible, but totally essential for the health of our planet. Today, we're going to dig into how certain ways of farming can turn fields into powerful allies in the fight against climate change.
So, a farm that acts like a forest? How does that even work? Well, this picture is key. It shows us that an ecosystem isn't just one thing. It's a whole system with different parts, and each of those parts stores carbon in its own way, from the tallest branches way up high to the soil deep underground.
Okay, so to really get how these farms work their magic, we first have to understand where all that carbon actually goes. Scientists call these storage areas carbon pools. Think of them as nature's bank accounts for carbon, and they are the building blocks for this entire process.
And here they are, the 5 main places carbon gets stored in any ecosystem. You got the obvious stuff you can see, right? The trees, the crops, that's the above-ground biomass. But then you have the crucial parts you can't see. The root systems, the decomposing wood and litter, and, the really big one, the soil itself.
That's right. Just let that sink in for a second. The biggest single stash of carbon on land isn't in all the forests of the world combined. It's right under our feet. In the dirt. So this tells us something huge. Building healthy, carbon-rich soil is one of the most powerful things we can possibly do. Okay, so let's jump from the theory to see what this looks like in the real world. We're going to dive into some data from actual farms in Thailand. And these aren't just any farms. These places were specifically designed with agroecology in mind to max out this natural carbon storage.
First, let's zoom in on that hidden giant we just talked about, the carbon stored deep in the soil, what scientists call soil organic carbon, because this is where things get really, really interesting.
You might be surprised. It's not just about what you plant, but how you design the whole landscape. Turns out, tiny, deliberate changes within a farm can make a massive difference. Let me show you a perfect example. Okay, now get this. This data is from the same farm. Your regular old rice paddy soil, it stores about 3.8 tons of carbon per rye, which is just a Thai unit of area. But look at the golden bund. It's basically a specially built, plant-rich little border next to the paddy. Its soil holds over 10 tons of carbon in the same amount of space. That's nearly 3 times more carbon locked away just by making one small design change. Incredible, right? Now, the soil is a massive carbon sink, for sure. But it's not the whole story. We've also got to count all the carbon that's stored in the parts we can actually see. The trees, the crops, all the plants that make up the farm's biomass. And this is the part we all remember from science class. Plants are basically magic. They breathe in carbon dioxide, and through photosynthesis, they turn that carbon into, themselves. Their trunks, branches, and leaves are literally built out of carbon pulled right from the air. And this number really drives it home. This represents the carbon stored just in the perennial trees on a single farm in the study. That's almost 273 tons of carbon that's now locked up in wood and leaves instead of floating around in the atmosphere. So we've got the hidden giant in the soil, and we've got the visible powerhouse in the trees. Now let's add them up and get the full picture of just how powerful each of these farms really is. This table really says it all. It shows the total carbon capture for 3 different farms, and check out how different they are. Farm CPM-K1 is a biomass beast, storing most of its nearly 500 tons of carbon in its trees. But then you look at Farm MDH-K3. Whoa, it's a soil superstar, with an insane 525 tons of carbon packed right into the ground. Each one is a uniquely powerful carbon sponge. So what this all means, the real kicker, is that this isn't just about reducing emissions. This is about actively reversing the process. These agroecological farms are creating living systems that are pulling carbon out of the air and locking it away. It's a powerful, natural climate solution that's happening right now. And this is the big idea we want to leave you with. Everything we've looked at shows what's possible on just a handful of farms in Thailand. So the question is, imagine the impact if this approach was adopted by millions of farmers all over the world. It's a pretty powerful thought.